The top 10 teams in Major League Baseball right now. Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert. Those rumors are starting to spin. We're going to do some mock trades for two of the best players in the American League on the worst team in the American League. Unfortunately, we have to go over some injuries for the Houston Astros, and we're going to, as the kids say, glaze Royce Lewis on his return. Welcome to the Just Baseball Show. That's Aram Lane, and I'm Peter Appel. It is Wednesday, June 5th, and this is all brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use code JustBaseball when you download. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. So, download BetMGM on iOS or Android. Use code JustBaseball when you deposit. And then, once you place a bet on standard odds, if you win, you just straight up win the bet. If you lose, you'll get everything that you put on it back in bonus bets up to $1,500. It's an absolute no-brainer. But remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. Aram, I'd ask how you're doing, but I want to skip straight to mock trades with Crochet and Luis Robert, but you got something to say. What's up?
I do have one thing to throw in there on the BetMGM front. So I can understand how Tucupita Marcano lost so much because I put out, and the no sweat bet is huge because I gave out a pick. I tried to put out a pick, and I don't know, some people that follow or listen to the podcast might have seen it on Twitter, but it was the biggest no-brainer of all time. You had Jose Urania, who has historically been terrible in first innings, I know, because I watched him do it for the Marlins. Yeah, he has the infamous first pitch of the year home run to Ian Happ. That was the funniest shit ever. And then you had Sixto Sanchez, who had just lowered his first inning ERA to 19.50. So naturally, I put out on Twitter, I'm like, oh, this is easy. Let's bet on a run to score in the first inning. Use our promo code, though, just in case I inevitably screw the bet up, because that's always what happens. I've never seen a more efficient first inning. I mean, it was 9 pitches from Sixto, and I think it was 11 pitches from Jose Urania. Bet done. I lost in legitimately 3 minutes. But if you use the promo code and it's your first deposit, you get that back and you get another try. I'd already used that, so I didn't get another try. I'm imagining, like, if I played on that team, I'd be like, oh man, we're giving up a run today. But sometimes you get too close to the sun, it burns you. And I got burned on that one. Sixto, I know next time out, if they give him a chance to pitch, he's going to get shelled in the first inning. That's why betting is so difficult, even if you're on the team. So, like, you just got to have fun with it and bet responsibly. Because in my head, I was like, oh, I need to go crazy on this. I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't, because our sport is wonderfully unpredictable.
Insanely unpredictable. The fact that Tucupita Marcano can be on the team and only win 4.3% of his bets when the team is in his parlay goes to show why baseball is so tough to bet on. But that's why the first bet offer is a great one, but we don't have to talk about that anymore. No. I think right now, I really want to talk about some mock trades for Luis Robert and Garrett Crochet. So the report came out from multiple different places saying that the White Sox and the Padres were contemplating a trade for star pitcher Garrett Crochet. Now, Garrett Crochet, you look at all the underlying metrics, they are elite, right? If we're talking expected ERA, Sierra, FIP, XFIP, strikeout rates, walk rates, looks fantastic. When you watch Garrett Crochet, it arguably looks better than some of the underlying metrics. He is a 6'6", 6'7", lanky, but built at the same time. It's long levers. It's gas coming at you. There's a reason that he gets a lot of Chris Sale comparisons, because it somewhat looks similar, even though Chris Sale had to be, 170 pounds soaking wet when he was in the White Sox. Garrett Crochet is anything but. Now, Crochet also has plenty of years of control, and he doesn't have a ton of innings under his belt. Why? Coming from the University of Tennessee, he was almost brought up immediately, has dealt with injuries, has also not been a starter, so there's not a lot of innings in that arm. And the innings that we have seen this year have been absolutely fantastic. With years of control, this package, I think, is going to command a lot more than people might think from a guy. Oh, this White Sox pitcher is getting back multiple great prospects. Exactly. I have a recent report from The Athletic saying that when these two sides talked, the Padres and the White Sox, Ethan Salas's name was brought up. And Ethan Salas is the 17-year-old catching phenom in the minor leagues that everybody's making videos about, everybody's talking about because of his young age and how great he has been in the minor leagues. Padres fans know that name very well. Baseball fans should know that name. But Aram Leighton, if you are a GM and you want to trade for Garrett Crochet, what are you comfortable giving up?
I mean, I think he could end up being, the best pitching trade chip on the market. So it might end up being more than you're comfortable giving up, especially if Jesus Luzardo is not looking 100% healthy, and he just gave up 9 earned runs the other day, to the Rays, and just looks like he's still trying to find his footing since coming off of, the IL with a little bit of like forearm discomfort. I mean, you got to give up multiple top 100 guys. It's 2 years of control after this one. You mentioned he's dominating, and I mean, absolutely dominating on a bad team. And I know, like, as a pitcher, it's, kind of up to you at the end of the day, but it's hard to go out there and shove every 5th day when your team sucks. Like, he goes out there and does that. I would have a little bit of concern just of like, hey, you don't have that much track record of him building up a starter's workload and doing it every year, and being able to handle it. Like, does the velo drop off at the end of the year? Like, those are all things I'm curious about. I'm not too worried about it because you mentioned he's 6'6", 6'7", 245 pounds. That helps a lot. But I do think teams are going to be pretty reckless in terms of what they might be willing to give up for him. And I would be willing to give up a lot. This is a guy that could put you over the top in terms of what he can do on the mound. And I think in big games, because the stuff is just so ridiculous, it's got to start with 2 top 100 guys, I think, without a doubt. And it's going to be more than that on top of it with the 2 years of control and the fact that the White Sox don't have to move him. But I think it makes all the sense in the world. I honestly thought that he had more control until the rumors started to swirl. And then I looked at it and I'm like, oh, wait, he only has 2 years of control after this. That's a lot for an acquiring team. But if you're the White Sox, you're not going to be good in 2 years. And he's only going to become less valuable as you hold on to him. And God forbid an injury happens. I kind of expect them to cash in. I don't know what you think.
Oh, I fully understand it. Especially, I said those years of control, like he has plenty in terms of he's not a free agent after the end of the year, which a lot of teams are trading for at the deadline. But a guy with years of control, even though it's only 2, it makes sense for the White Sox timeline to eventually trade him probably this deadline to cash in, especially because he's a guy who you don't know if he could throw 180 innings. We hope, but you don't know that. The White Sox don't know that. No teams know that. Do we think that he's going to continue this level of dominance with a 2.88 FIP, one of the best in Major League Baseball? We think so, but we don't know. That's the allure of Garrett Crochet. So he's got a couple of years of control. We see how good the stuff can be. We see the potential, but what is he actually? And I think the market is going to show what teams think about him moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
So let's do this. AJ Preller is the maniac to make the trade for Garrett Crochet from the Chicago White Sox. So let's do a mock trade, Padres to White Sox, because we could do a bunch of different teams, but this is the initial report. And I think the White Sox are going to need you to overpay for Garrett Crochet. And I think the Padres might be the only team that actually will want to do that. We could talk about some other teams. There will be other teams involved, but I think we should start with the Padres and then build off on other teams that we come up with. So if we're talking about multiple top 100 prospects, I think that you got to give them 2 more pitchers. And I know it's going to be a lot. We just saw Adam Mazur. Adam Mazur just made his debut on the road, and I thought he looked fantastic.
He was awesome.
He's been arguably outside of Dylan Lesko, the top pitching prospect, right-handed at least, for the San Diego Padres because they have Robbie Snelling. So if you're going with Adam Mazur, potentially you put in Graham Pauley, it's going to be a little bit more.
I think I think Snelling's got to headline that deal.
Okay.
And so I think you headline it with Snelling. Snelling's stock has probably dropped a little bit. His velo's been down a bit this year, but he was so good last year. But I think if you're getting a lefty with multiple years of control, they might be okay then maybe parting with the Snelling. Lesko's a guy that has unreal stuff, has not been able to find the zone quite yet. since he's come off from TJ. So I think they'd feel like they're selling a little bit lower on Lesko, whereas Snelling is coming off with a great year, hasn't been as good this year, but I still think has a ton of value there. Consensus, top 100 prospect without a doubt. I think you go Snelling. I would want to keep Mazer because he's big league ready and up there right now and helping them. I would want to trade some of the guys that are further off. I don't know if they'd ever be willing to move like a Leo DeVries, but if you're holding on to Salas and you're parting with Snelling, I don't know if you have to get rid of DeVries, but I think something along the lines of like Snelling, DeVries, and then a couple fillers could definitely get it done. And I mean, Snelling, again, one of the best left-handed pitching prospects in baseball. Leo DeVries is one of the more prized international free agents we've seen in a while. Also a top 100 prospect for us. He's 17. It's very similar to the Salas situation where they're just pushing him and challenging him. He's 17 in low A, youngest player in low A, and he's holding his own and looks pretty good at shortstop. So that's a guy that, I know they love, but they could say, you know what? Well, he's not going to be up here for 4 years. AJ Preller might not even be there anymore if things don't go well. So he might be willing to do that. I think Snelling, DeVries, and, in a filler or two should be enough.
That's a package.
That's a package.
That's a package. Robbie Snelling and DeVries, like these are 2 top 5 prospects in a top heavy system.
Yes,
right?
a very good. But you're also looking at Crochet, like we mentioned some of the questions, but at the same time, you're also seeing guys like Tarek Skubal, guys like even we're looking at what Cole Reagans has done, like these lefty power pitchers that are just dominating. And over his last 7 starts, he's a 1.35 ERA, 53 Ks, 7 walks. Like if he keeps doing that for another month and a half, like
he's in the Cy Young.
I could see teams getting reckless. Yeah, he's in the Cy Young conversation, and you're going to get reckless because you might be kicking yourself in a year where the White Sox, are literally holding on to a potential ace there, and you're saying, "Oh man, we could have had him for a couple prospects that are far off." Snelling's not far off. DeVries is. I think Padres fans might get uneasy with that, but at the same time, they're probably numb to it at this point. You get to keep Salas, you still get to keep Lesko, you have Mazer at the big league level, you keep Pauly, you still have your guys. They're gonna draft well, like they always do, and you have a guy now that helps you this year and helps you next year and the year after that, and you might be able to extend him off of that, which would be extremely helpful for the Padres. And when you look at the rotation, they could use some young pieces there. And you wanted Snelling because he fits in later, but now you've got a guy that fits in later now and later in a Crochet. So I think Snelling would be okay to go in that deal.
I want to talk about a couple more teams, but I want to bring up a team before I talk about those other 2 teams. I know, confusing. Do you think the Milwaukee Brewers could end up saying, you know what? We're 6 games up in this division. I know we just traded Corbin Burns, but we're about grabbing value in the market to grab a pitcher like Garrett Crochet to pair with Freddie Peralta. I mean, they need starters right now. Robert Gasser just went on the IL as well. They're young lefty. I know it doesn't mean a ton in the grand scheme of things, but this Brewers team is damn good. I don't know how their GM can't look at this lineup, look at all the young pieces coming up and saying, the window is opening much quicker than we thought. And what's our hole? Well, we're going to get Devin Williams back in the bullpen, and we already have a good bullpen. We need starters. Do you think that the Brewers should be grouped in with 2 teams that I think definitely will be in the mix? The Atlanta Braves and the Baltimore Orioles. I think both of those 2 teams are definitely going to be on the phone with Chris Getz, the GM of the White Sox, saying, how can we get Garrett Crochet? I'm sure there are other teams as well who doesn't need pitching, right? You might be listening to this. Your team's a contender saying, well, we want Garrett Crochet too. And you're probably right. Braves and Orioles were the first 2 teams that came to my mind outside of the Padres. But I really wanted to open up to you to see if you think that the Brewers would be interested. Me personally, I don't think that they would do it, but they might.
On paper, it's a no-brainer,
right?
But with the way that, like, we were talking about it on the call-up, I think Jack and I were like, the Brewers operate more like the Rays than I think a lot of people like to think.
100%.
Yes, they did give out that Yelich contract, but that was when they had years of control leveraged against a guy that was like a back-to-back MVP essentially.
And if we're comparing it to the Rays, it's not like they didn't extend Wander Franco. I mean, it obviously went.
It didn't work out, yeah, but they did.
It's not like the Rays have never spent a dime in their lives.
Exactly. It's a good point. Extremely favorable situation. They don't pass up on it to extend him, and I think that's a very similar comparison there. It wouldn't shock me if they just look at the division and say, hey, like, we've got a really special opportunity here, and also the 2 years of control makes it possible. They also have a logjam a little bit in the infield and the outfield, so they have some pieces that they could move that I still think would be of interest. I think it would depend on how the White Sox value some guys like a Joey Weimer and a Garrett Mitchell, who have both been banged up. But like Tyler Black is blocked, and he's a top 100 prospect. I don't think they'd want to part with a Jacob Mizorowski, but Brock Wilken, their first round pick, is a very talented player, and they have a lot of other fillers. I think it would be hard for them to match some other deals, but I think they could be involved and try it. I just think other teams would probably be willing to spend more, if that makes sense, on the prospect front.
I agree with you. I just wanted to bring them up because they are in first place. They do deserve to be in first place, and the National League is kind of wide open.
Yes.
Like the Phillies are obviously awesome, and the Dodgers are obviously awesome, but the Braves are faltering. There's nobody else in the National League Central who you're really scared about. The Padres are a good team, but I don't think you're scared of them either. And the Mets and the Nationals and the Marlins are not going to do anything. So if they're looking at, all right, we just have to be better than the Phillies or the Dodgers in a 5-game set, can we do it? Now, the answer is probably no, but we've seen stranger. So if they have a logjam in the outfield and the infield, and then they give a prize prospect, I think they should be in the mix. And a team that I think will definitely be in the mix is the Atlanta Braves. The issue is, Aram, you know more about this than I do, but I know the names at the top. This Braves farm system stinks. Like, not
It's
that
not
good.
great.
I mean, it's just great. Like, I'm looking at the, we just did the Padres. Like, they have blue chippers at the top. They have guys who, if I could get my hands on, I'm feeling really excited. The Braves' number one prospect is AJ Smith-Shawver.
AJ Smith. They do have a quartet of fun arms, but those are arms that they probably kind of need at the same time. So like AJ Smith-Shawver is a little bit banged up right now. He's their top prospect. Hurston Waldrop's also a top 100 guy. He's been awesome. And then Spencer Schwellenbach is also a top 100 guy. He's been awesome. But then that's it. You got 3 arms, and those are all upper minor league guys or big league guys. I mean, Waldrop's in AAA, Schwellenbach's in the big leagues, and AJ Smith-Shawver's in the big leagues. So that's one side of it. And then Owen Murphy, who potentially could have been a top 100 guy, was breaking out this year, underwent Tommy John surgery. So he's now on the shelf. Still could be a trade chip because it's Tommy John, and nowadays we see guys get traded, but obviously that diminishes the value some. And then position player wise, they don't have a ton. Like Nacho Alvarez is the fact that Braves fans are always like in my replies pushing Nacho Alvarez, who is a solid prospect. The guy has a 697 OPS.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. If I was a Braves fan, we had a prospect called Nacho Alvarez. Yeah. I wouldn't even need to look at the stats. I'd be pushing him just because it's thick.
A shortstop named Nacho Alvarez Jr.
Yeah, like real. I'm pro them pushing him. I'm pro it.
Makes sense. But it would be really hard. Like I do think if they were willing to do it, and they do the classic, Alex Anthopoulos, I'm going to extend you immediately thing, because they're not. And the other reason why I like that you brought up the Braves is it seems like they might not keep Max Fried, right? Like they haven't extended him. We've been waiting for it. It just seems like it hasn't even really been much of a discussion. Maybe those who are more tapped into the Braves beat can add some context to that. But, this gives you a chance to replace Fried much cheaper, kind of similar to the Olsen move, that we saw when they end up bringing him in and letting Freeman go. It might not always add up exactly the same, but value-wise, they could do really well. You're going to have to part with 2 of Smith-Shawver, Waldrop, and Schwellenbach and Murphy to start. And that's a lot of pitching to part with. But if you're getting a Crochet, I think they could find a way to make that work between Waldrop, Schwellenbach, Smith-Shawver, Murphy, and then just maybe the right complementary pieces. It would be hard, but they could put something together. The problem is, I think the White Sox really want bats. They've gone so pitching heavy with what they've added. It seems like they want bats, but maybe they get the bats in the Luis Robert return.
Potentially. So what if, let's say I'm Alex Anthopoulos and you're Chris Getz, and I get on the phone and I say, Chris / Aram, I will give you Hurston Waldrop, I'll give you J.R. Ritchie, and I'll give you Nacho Alvarez Jr. for Garrett Crochet. Are you hanging up the phone, or are you listening?
I'm hanging up.
Not enough.
Bad offer, but I'm hanging up. I've Garrett Crochet. I'm good. Yeah, because it's just not enough upside there. I would need 2 of those arms. Otherwise, I'm going to go somewhere else and find someone a little bit more desperate, or that just can give me more upside.
So you just hung up the phone on Alex Anthopoulos and you said, "Suck it.
Yes.
You're not gonna Atlanta Brave me,
Yes.
right?
Get
You're not gonna,
lost, you
yeah,
pre-arb merchant. Yeah.
you pre-arb merchant." So you put the phone down, and as soon as the phone hits, you see on caller ID Mike Elias is calling, and you're like, "Oh, damn it! What is he gonna offer me now?" And I'm Mike Elias, and I say, "Aram, I want to give you. You want your bats, right? You're sick of all these pitchers." And I commend you for that. You need bats, and you're right. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you Heston Kjerstad. I'm going to give you Connor Norby. And I'm going to give you Cade Povich as well. That's my offer. Would you do it?
We're talking. You got my attention. Yeah, you got my attention with that.
So my name is Mike Elias. What do I need to add?
What do you need to add? Norby, by the way, going yard in his first AB. Congrats to him.
Like, the Orioles just call up another guy every single week, and it's, oh, well, this guy's got a 180 WRC plus AAA. Like, I'm sure he'll do well. Comes up, homers, just like lights the world on fire, and then has a little bit of a cold stretch, and then just gets sent down because, like, you have to hit 300 if you're going to be on this team at this point.
No, literally, it's insane. He's going to get sent back down. The second Mateo comes back, 100%. It's just like, no, it's absurd.
Connor Norby will go 2 games without a hit. You're done. See ya.
You're done. See ya. I mean, dude, that's a pretty freaking good package. Kjerstad, Norby, and Povich. Povich, I think, apparently, I just saw something before we recorded. I think is on a plane right now to go make his big league debut. Friend of the call up, also, really good interview there. He was really insightful pitcher as well, and cool journey. I mean, that could do it. I mean, that could just get it done. You're talking about a pitcher that's big league ready, that is, can slot right into your rotation. We're talking about a second baseman that big league ready right away, can also play corner outfield, and then an outfielder that's big league ready. You just got 3 pieces that make your team better next year. 100%. Obviously, you traded away a guy that makes you worse from that lens, but you have a glut of pitching that you're hoping will continue to hit with Thorpe, Uriarte, all these other guys. I think that's, look, they might say no to that, but I don't think that the Orioles should push further than that. I mean, that's a really solid package.
But is it better than the Padres package? Like, would you rather have DeVries, right? DeVries, Snelling, and let's say add in another top 15 guy, or would you rather have Kjerstad, Norby, and Povich?
Ooh. That's a really good question. I'm going to make a YouTube community poll on that.
Would you say Snelling is the best prospect out of everybody we named?
Snelling or Kjerstad? I always lean bats. So
I know, but Kjerstad's also like the
older
first base outfielder and older. And Snelling is dominant. He was the minor league pitcher of the year last year.
I know the velo being down a little bit is probably making me a little bit like recency biased on a negative scale. But DeVries also is the highest upside prospect in this entire thing. So I would probably lean towards the Padres package, but it also just depends where you're at. And I think if you're the White Sox, like Chris Getz might want to show some signs of improvement like next year, and you'd do that a lot easier with that Orioles package. And I think it's easier for that trade to not be a disaster with the Orioles package. So I might lean to that one, but DeVries is like a franchise altering upside kind of guy. Snelling is really freaking good. I would lose sleep. Like whatever I say, I'm going to change my mind later on. So I don't know. Those are both great packages.
But that's the level of package that it's going to take to get Garrett Crochet. So we're not going to go over every single team. We got to move on to Luis Robert. But if your team is a contender that's in need of pitching, go to justbaseball.com, look at Arm's prospect rankings, and understand it's probably going to cost, unless your farm system is the Orioles, 2 top 5 guys in your system, as well as another guy probably in your top 15. So you can go to these prospect lists and say, and you could play GM by yourself. Would I be willing to send this guy off for Garrett Crochet, who's looked phenomenal, but he's also, it's tough to know. It's tough to know what you're going to get from Garrett Crochet in 2025, in 2026. Can he withstand all this? Yeah. Can he be the pitcher that a lot of people think he can? I think he can, but we'll see. Yeah. I think it's just sick that the White Sox are saying, fuck it. Everybody is available. It's not just going to be Tommy Pham and Eric Fetty and Michael Kopech and the guys you would think they're going to deal. Open for business. Chris Getz, I respect you. That's the kind
that's how they should be doing it. It's how they should be doing it, man. I mean, What are those guys going to do for you? And Robert too. It's 2 years after this one. So like, I mean, what is that going to do for you? You're still going to be terrible by then. So might as well try it.
Do the same exercise with Luis Roberts. So like you said, Luis Roberts signed a 6-year, $50 million deal with the Chicago White Sox. What a deal for Chicago, as the guy had 38 jacks and 20 steals last season. Unfortunately, he got off to a rough start this year, did hit a home run in his return from the IL from a hamstring injury, looks healthy, looks right, and when he is a top 5 bona fide center fielder in this game. You could probably make the argument he's 2 or 3 with Aaron Judge moving over to center. It's definitely him. But then there's an argument for a bunch of other guys at a position that is super weak in Major League Baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember at the beginning of the year, Aram, when we did our top 10 center fielders and we're at 7 and we're just thinking to ourselves, I mean, he's a decent player. I mean, like
Yeah,
the 7th
he's
best
fine.
center fielder, we have to put him here because he is. So it's a position of scarcity. It's an important position. You're the captain of the outfield, and you got a cheap guy with MVP caliber upside with years of control. This is going to be a big time package, not to the level of Juan Soto, of course, but that's where I want everybody's brains to start gravitating towards, right? It's not going to be the Mackenzie Gore and who else was in that deal? James Wood, who's now your number one prospect in Major League Baseball. It's not quite that, but you're approaching those levels. And we have a couple of teams that we're going to workshop it. But Aram, similar to how we did Garrett Crochet, right? We're going to need 2 top 5 prospects and more of a filler guy. What is Luis Robert going to command just from a prospect lens? Then we'll talk teams.
So it's interesting because it's actually 3 years after this one. So you're getting 3.5 years of control. And it's basically like you're signing him to a 3-year, $55 million deal. So like that's awesome. But at the same time, like it's not like he's pre-arb. So, it is going to be a little bit less than a guy that, is a pre-arb piece or is going to be, very, very cheap from a financial standpoint. But I mean, it's going to take, I think, a similar to Crochet package and a little bit more potentially. I think I honestly think it might be right on par, kind of the same thing, just because of the price financially, and also the fact that I think Crochet, especially if Luzardo's banged up, is far and away going to be the best arm on the market. I mean, I'd imagine it's a pretty similar package, and there's, I think, going to be more teams that are willing to bid on Crochet though, so that might drive it up. Whereas there's only a few fits, I feel like, and they're great fits, but there's only a few fits I feel like for Robert in center field that have the farm system and also have just a legitimate need in center. I feel like
there's 2 teams that are just perfect, and I want to do mock trades for the both of them. We're going to start in Philadelphia. Now, Phillies fans were listening. Hey, the Braves are getting Garrett Crochet. Can we get someone? Damn right you can. What's the one hole in the Phillies?
Center field.
Center field. Yohan Rojas is a good defender. But Phillies, you want to go win a fucking World Series? Remember all these rumors for Mike Trout? Let's just go get Luis Robert instead.
Yeah.
You down? I'm down. Here's my trade offer. I'm Dave Dombrowski. You're Chris Getz. Ring, ring, ring. Mr. Getz, I hear Luis Robert is available. And I'm willing to kind of send some prospects to you because I don't know if I'm going to be here in 5 years anyway, and I don't give a shit. I want to add. So you know what I'm willing to do, Aram? I'm willing to give you Andrew Painter, arguably the best pitching prospect in Major League Baseball. I'm also willing to give you Justin Crawford, the 4th-ranked prospect in the system, depending on where he's coming in. But he is a outfield prospect come up in a few years. And then I'm also going to give you Griff McGarry, another right-handed pitching prospect. Is that enough to get it done? Those are 3 top 10 prospects in their system.
So I view Painter as like almost untouchable. So that's why I'm like
Luis Robert with years of control and he's cheap. Like at some point, like you're going to say, oh, we'll give you Mick Abel. And what are you going to do? You're going to hang up the phone. So it's like if you want Luis Robert, and look at the pitching they have now. We have Phillies fans rioting because they won't put Spencer Turnbull in the rotation. They just won't. Like, you already locked down Nola, you got Ranger, you got Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez has been on a freaking tear, and then you're just deciding Turnbull versus Walker. And you do have Mick Abel, and you're also the Philadelphia Phillies who can then go sign a free agent pitcher. Do you want Luis Robert? I know it's Andrew Painter, but it's Luis Robert. Like,
Yeah.
Andrew Painter's a prospect.
Yeah, I mean, if Dombrowski's willing to give me Andrew Painter, I'm definitely going to be listening a little bit more, because I figured like you could probably piece something together with Aiden Miller, Mick Abel, and Justin Crawford. But if let's say the Phillies, for whatever reason, are more willing to part with a Painter instead of their bats and keeping a Miller, I definitely would be interested in that. My thing is, if you're the Phillies, do you feel like you need kind of more pitching depth organizationally, or infield depth? Because I also look at the left side of the infield. That ain't budging for 10 years. And like, Aiden Miller is awesome. Helium is crazy on him right now and what he's doing. Do you cash in on him? Mick Abel looks like pretty bad right now. So other than him, you don't really have any other pitching prospects in your system that are like guys that I think you can look at and say, oh, they can help us. But to your point, they don't really need that help anytime soon. If Nola's staying, on track and healthy, and Wheeler's healthy, and Ranger's healthy, and all these guys are good, like, where does Painter fit in next year? If he's back healthy and ready to go. I mean, nothing would surprise me with Dombrowski. But if you're the Phillies, would you rather part with the arm or the bat? Because I think you could piece together a package either way.
So
Is my
here's
thing.
the thing. Of course, if I'm the Phillies, I'd rather part with Aiden Miller. But this is Luis Robert and you're Chris Getz. Like, you want Andrew Painter in this deal. If you were going to give up a cornerstone guy, because it's not Luis Robert is a free agent after the year. We know how talented he is, but you're just getting him for 4 or 5 months. You're getting Luis Robert for years at arguably the best contract for a superstar that we have in Major League Baseball, who has been playing on the White Sox with Pedro Grifol managing him.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the worst people have been around that organization. Not like bad people, but just bad coaches. Come to Philly, play in the bank, and watch him blossom into an MVP candidate with our team. Like, yes, of course, the Phillies would rather give up Aiden Miller. But in my opinion, I think he hangs up the phone unless it starts with Painter, right? If we were talking about the Yankees in this deal for Luis Robert, if we're not getting Jason Dominguez, like, probably not getting him. All these teams, like, I think it's your best prospect. And right, you just did the top 100 update. It's not like Andrew Painter's 1 or 2. Like, he's a top prospect, one of the best in baseball, but he's not the Jackson Holidays, the Junior Camaneros, those type of guys. He's great, but he's also coming off injuries on the elbow. He's not a perfect prospect. I think they would hang up, especially if the Phillies called, because like Aiden Miller's a great prospect, but like it has to start with Andrew Painter, or I think they're hanging up.
It's fair. So if it's Painter, then you said Painter, Crawford, and McGarry. Yeah, I mean it's pretty good, man. Like, I think that could easily get. I think they want another bat, so it could be like.
Remember, instead of McGarry, maybe it's a lesser bat,
or like a little bit like Saltaban. I know people like him. Like Devin Saltaban could be a bat that gets thrown in there as well. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like Painter, Crawford, and Saltaban. That's wow. The pitching and the White Sox would have the best pitching prospects, and it's not even close. Holy shit! Like that would be insane. So and to the point of the Phillies, like, they still have Aiden Miller, who's a top 60 prospect. Still have Mick Abel, who has been a top 100 prospect, just has been diminished this year. And they still have Starlin Caba, who's a top 100 prospect for us, a shortstop that I really like as well. Yeah, I think that's a pretty competitive offer.
So the next team that I want to talk about that would just fit like a glove, the Los Angeles Dodgers, because they could use a center fielder. James Outman hasn't exactly worked out this season so far. Goes through ebbs and flows. He'll be fine, but you're the Dodgers. You made trades for Scherzer. You made trades for Trey Turner. even dating back the Adrian Gonzalez trades, Manny Ramirez. They seem to get the big fish every winter, or excuse me, every deadline and winter. They just do it all the time. This is a perfect spot, and they have a farm system enough to do it. So I'm Andrew Friedman, GM of the Dodgers, and I call Chris Getz, and I say, Chris, don't listen to Dave Dombrowski. He's trying to hurt you. I'm going to give you a better deal, and I'm going to give you Dalton Rushing. I'm going to give you, or you could do Jose De Paula and Diego Cartaya, and then maybe someone like a River Ryan. Is that enough? Josue De Paula, Diego Cartaya, and a River Ryan.
I think DePaula is one of the best young prospects in baseball. He's a top 30 guy for us. I love him. So I think he is a great headliner for this deal. Young, really talented bat, one of my favorite swings at the lower levels. He headlines it. River Ryan, they're obsessed with. And he's coming off of an injury, he's rehabbing. I think they'd probably send it another direction. I think it could be any of like Jackson Ferris. Nick Frasso is also hurt, which sucks. But Yoendry Vargas is a name that I feel like that they would love with the White Sox too. A super high upside, lower level shortstop. So you get two guys that are 18, 19 that are monster upside pieces there. And then, yeah, maybe you throw in a Cartaya or you throw in one of these other arms. But I think if it's DePaula and Yoendry Vargas kind of leading the way there, and then like a Robleski or something like that, that's a pretty damn competitive package.
The White Sox certainly needed a catcher.
They got Edgar Caro in the Giolito deal.
True. Do you think Edgar Caro, right? It's always good to have multiple catchers in that system.
Yeah, it can't hurt. It can't hurt. And that's why I think like
but I'm
maybe
just thinking
Cartaya
for the Dodgers, and the reason I think DePaula and Cartaya should be the headliners is Dodgers just signed Will Smith to a big extension, and they have Dalton Rushing already. Like Cartaya is just, I don't know when he's ever going to play with the Dodgers anyway. So to put Cartaya, DePaula, and then a pick of your choosing,
I think Yoendry Vargas in that
Vargas
is super competitive. Like that's three bats that are instantly some of the best in their system.
So
I don't love Cartaya, but still 22, and there's a lot of pedigree there.
So you got two offers, one from the Phillies and one from the Dodgers. The Phillies, Painter, Crawford, and we talked about potentially another hitter instead of McGarry.
Yeah, we went bat. Yeah.
So those three from the Phillies, or the Dodgers, where you get DePaula, Cartaya, and Vargas.
Oh. Man. I'd probably take the opportunity to get a guy that could be, a frontline starter in Painter. Crawford, he's a frustrating player for me because he hits the ball really hard. He's a plus runner, but he also hits everything into the ground. I think it's a 63% ground ball rate. Like, that's really frustrating, but he's also young and still producing pretty well, and the bloodlines and all that good stuff. But DePaul is like one of my favorite prospects in baseball, and I can't stand Cartaya though, relative to I think what he's ranked, and then Vargas is far off. I'd probably lean towards that Phillies package because Painter's just you don't get an opportunity to acquire an Andrew Painter very often, like if not ever, unless you're trading a Juan Soto type. And the difference, you said it's like not the Soto package. It's not like it drops off from there, but you rarely even get the opportunity to singularly acquire a prospect like Andrew Painter. So I would go with that one.
And Phillies fans, I want to be clear. When I brought up Andrew Painter, like I'm not doing that just to do it for it makes a good podcast or whatever. Like
there's no one else. I don't think there's anyone else you're trading him for.
I understand how good of a prospect Andrew Painter is, and I know it would suck to trade him. But I'm coming to you with this deal, Phillies fans. Like, I think it'd be a good deal for you. Getting Luis Robert on that contract, like Luis Robert, like Phillies fans, I don't know how many White Sox games you're watching. This dude is box office. You put Luis Robert in that outfield, holy shit. Because not just this year, it's not just next year after that. Like, you're getting years of this guy in the window when you want to win, and he could legitimately, in the right spot, when he's hitting and it's warm in the summer in Citizens Bank, we could be looking at over 40 home runs and 25 steals.
Yeah.
And he's a great defender. Like, this is the guy. If you're not trading for Juan Soto, he's in the tier below that. So
Yeah.
that's the trade that you're making. Knowing how good your rotation is, you can trade Andrew Painter, and I think you wouldn't lose much sleep after it. If he becomes this great pitcher, yeah, he probably will. Do you want Luis Robert? Like,
Yeah.
that's the bottom line here. It's the perfect opportunity to do so. And then with the Dodgers, be honest with yourselves, Dodger fans. You ain't feeling this. You
No.
don't care.
No.
You don't give a shit, right?
No.
So it's like we're talking about some of these Dodger prospects. I'm sure they're listening and be like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure Jackson Ferris is a nice prospect. I'm sure you love Jose DePaula. See ya. Like, give us Luis Robert. We don't care.
Yeah.
So both those two teams. Is there another team that you feel would make a ton of sense here? Because the Mariners do make a lot of sense, but they also have J-Rod in center field. So you'd have to move one over. But we've
Yeah.
seen in the past, like, Jeter was the shortstop of the Yankees. They still got Alex Rodriguez and moved him to third. When you have an opportunity to get a player of that caliber, you're going to be creative. The thing
Yeah.
is with the Mariners, like, I think they're going to be in the Pete Alonso sweepstakes, not the Luis Robert sweepstakes. That's just my feeling. I could be wrong. That's just how I went about it.
Yeah. It would make sense because it'd be less of a prospect, requirement trade wise. But seeing the Mariners owner come out and say like, hey, like whatever they need financially, like we've made it clear this team, we know this group is good. Like we're going to make it happen. Luis Robert's affordable, but it is money, and they may want to leverage that and extend him. And it sounds like ownership might be, willing to entertain that. I look at, what Cal Rowley's doing behind the dish, and yeah, Ford is that contingency plan. But at the same time, like Ford's a guy that's kind of not going to be not have a straight path to playing a lot behind the dish because of Rowley, and Ford's already putting up good numbers in Double A, so his ETA is looking like 2025. So that might be a guy that you can move pretty comfortably. They can put together a really competitive package, and with J-Rod, I feel like there's just so much pressure on him to be the guy, and then bringing Robert in there may take some of that pressure off of J-Rod. Also can just get J-Rod out of center field from some days, like from time to time. And I'm sure that Robert prefers to play center field, but I'm sure even more so he prefers to win and get the hell out of the south side of Chicago. So I think that would work just fine, and that would be one of the more elite defensive outfields now with those two guys there. I think the Mariners should be in on him. I agree. I think it makes more sense that they end up going a little bit less crazy and go for a Pete Alonso. But I do think that they should be considered in this because they've got the prospect capital to do so too. 6 guys in our updated top 100. And I think they could put together a package of like a Harry Ford and then, a Johnny Farmello and then a third piece. And that's a really competitive package too. You're talking about a high probability big league catcher, probably one of the most athletic catchers in the minor leagues, one of the toolsiest outfielders in the lower levels in Johnny Farmello, who's been raking all year this year. And then, a third piece like a Michael Arroyo or a Jonathan Clase, who are both really exciting bats. Like that's a really solid return too.
This is some of my favorite segments on when we do the podcast, when we do these mock trades for giants, not San Francisco Giants, but giant type players that a team would absolutely adore, right? It's interesting when we do a Tommy Pham mock trade, and it's like, well, you could potentially get a flyer. No. These are the big boys. So we just went over some Luis Robert and Garrett Crochet mock trades. YouTube folks, let us know in the comments. Any of our teams give up too much? Not enough? White Sox fans, would you do any of those trades? Let us know in the YouTube comments below. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button. How about the like button? It's all free. Just do it. All right. A couple more topics before we get to our top 10 teams, which you can see on justbaseball.com. Christian Javier and Jose Urquidy both getting Tommy John surgery for the Houston Astros. This is a killer.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about pressing the panic button, I'm still not hovering over it yet because I'm too damn scarred by this team figuring out ways to win. But the reality is that the Houston Astros have a -1 run differential. They are 10-22 against teams over 500 and sit 6 games back of the AL West crown, which is currently being held by the Mariners, and they sit at 28-34. Now, Jose Urquidy, I didn't think it was going to be that impactful, but Christian Javier definitely is, especially with how this rotation has looked. Verlander's finding his footing again, which is great. Framber is still Framber, but you go down the list, There's not a lot to love here, especially like Hunter Brown's been good lately.
But
But what is he really doing this year? And when I say good,
six.
I mean relative to what he was doing in April, right? You got Spencer Arrighetti, who has flashed some decent stuff, but this, I got to admit, as an Astros truther, those two things kind of made me go, you know what? I don't know if it's going to happen this year.
Yeah, they've got three arms that, you can feel good about with Framber, Verlander, and Blanco. But
My fault. I forgot Blanco.
I mean, it's easy to do. He came out of nowhere. But my thing is, even then, this version of Verlander is a mid threes guy. He'll give you flashes of vintage Verlander, but he's a mid threes guy. This version of Framber is a mid to high three guy. Ronel Blanco has a 2.5. That's great. Is he going to do that all year? I don't know. I don't think so. And if your season hinges on that, that's tough. The bullpen's starting to settle in a little bit more, which is great. But I'm with you, dude. Like, this is a tough blow. I think Javier was kind of the one that really, I think, made me feel like they're just struggling to get their head above water. Like, how do you, like, it feels like as they start to finally have the pieces come together where it's like, okay, Brown's pitching a little bit better. Blanco's still doing it. Verlander's back and looks like himself enough. Like, if they had Javier pitching well in that group, I'm like, all of a sudden, okay, yeah. And then between Brown and Arrighetti for the 5 spot, that's a good enough rotation. If the bullpen throws the way that it can throw, that the pitching staff should be fine. But that's not how it's going right now, especially now that Javier is out for season and there's just not a lot of reinforcements. I'm with you. I'm not totally counting them out, but I have been, a little bit nervous about them for a while now. It's nice to see Bregman heating up, and that helps a lot. But someone's got to get on the mound and get outs. And I think with 2 arms that I fully don't trust, and then 3 guys that just aren't going to dominate, I think, at the way that maybe we've seen them dominate in the past, especially with Framber and Verlander, and then Ronell just being I don't know, we got to wait and see. I don't know, man. Like, they're gonna have to really hit. I look at the team though; they're not dead. I agree, but I feel like that Javier blow was it's one of the last ones. Like, they're about one hit away, like one punch away from, I think, being knocked out.
Because I tried to put myself in the shoes of Dana Brown, the GM of the Astros, and say, all right, Javier and Urquidy just went down. Are we really going to trade from this farm system that's very barren? It's one of the worst farm systems in Major League Baseball. I'm sure you could back that up. Do we really want to go trade for a pitcher? Like, do we want to? I don't even know if we could afford a guy like Garrett Crochet. And then are you going to trade a good prospect for Eric Fetty? And then, like, what happens? Like, is the season saved? Like, you need your current players to do so much better than they are now. And Astros fans and the Astros cannot expect Verlander to get better. Like, Verlander's still just going to be Verlander. I don't think you can expect Framber to just stand on his head for 4 months and be a Cy Young contender. Maybe he's going to be a good pitcher, but I don't think he can be the guy who say, yeah, we can get a shutout, like a 9-inning shutout from him and just dominate, put us on his back. I don't think you can do the same for Blanco. Is Blanco going to get better or worse? History would say probably worse.
Yeah.
Arrighetti, Brown, and then the offense, like Yainer Diaz hasn't hit this year. What the hell is that? Like, Chas McCormick does not look like the same guy. Like, the bottom of the Astros lineup is objectively not good.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm watching an Astros game, if Altuve, Bregman, Tucker, and Yordan, like, they're not on fire that day, I'm left waiting until we get to Mauricio Dubon to even have a chance at a hit. Like, John Singleton gets ABs all the time. Jose Abreu gets ABs all the time. Jake Myers, like, these guys are fine, but they're not the Astros that we're used to. So that's why I came to the realization of, all right, we're not getting Javier back. We don't have a good farm system to trade. That's why I felt it had a little nail in the coffin-esque to it.
Yeah. I think they just kind of the one move that did kind of make sense when you said it was Fetty, because he's also under contract for next year. And that they're not going to rebuild off of one bad year. They're going to lose some pieces, but I think the Fetty move could make sense because he's owed 7.5 next year. and that can help you try to, give it a college try this year. And then if it doesn't work, you got him locked into the rotation for next year. But I'm wondering, like, if it gets uglier in the next, like, they're going to really figure out what they're going to do with the way after they find, like, after June, like, however June goes. And I don't know what the schedule looks like, but however June goes, I mean, if they're 10 games under, they're not adding anything. Maybe they're even subtracting. If they're right at 500, they may stand pat. Maybe they, at that point, they make an Eric Fetty type of move. But I start to look at it now where it's like, do you trade Bregman? Do you trade, Framber? Do you try to bolster up this farm system a little bit? And then, they're still going to be good next year, but just kind of reallocate a little bit. I think June is pretty much going to decide which direction they go. And that's tough. It's tough when like your whole direction hinges on 1 month, especially for a team that has been so good for so long, like this group. And I know that they probably want to give it one more go. And Pena is playing better, and you hope that Diaz starts to play better. But yeah, I think we don't know what they're going to do until we see how they do the next 3 weeks, which is pretty nuts.
Absolutely wild. So that's the Astros point. Let's talk about Royce Lewis for a second.
Yeah.
Royce Lewis is back for the Minnesota Twins, which is better for baseball because when this guy is on a heater, he can carry an offense. That's how good of a player he is. But the thing is, he's been in the league since 2022, and he's played 72 games. Shocking. In 2022, he plays 12. 2023 plays 58. This year, he's only played 2 games. He's just a guy that can never stay on the field. I even texted you. I said, get ready for the 10 games Royce Lewis is going to play because it's Hall of Fame level talent when he does so. He's almost like the new Byron Buxton in that way.
Yeah.
But in these 72 games that he has played, he is slashing 315, 375, 577 for a 952 OPS.
Jeez.
With 30 extra base hits in 72 games, 19 home runs, 11 doubles, 59 RBIs in 72 games, 82 hits. Like this guy, when he plays, is such a freak. And you put it out on Twitter. Why do you love Royce Lewis so much?
It's the defense too, man. You saw the play he made yesterday against the Yankees where it's like a backhand spins around. He just came off a quad thing. Backhand spins around, rifles a throw over, and it's just money. Like he is a special talent when you see how hard he can hit the baseball, how fast he can run, his arm, the defensive ability. It's a Byron Buxton level of frustrating when he gets hurt. And it's ironic, and I feel for Twins fans that they have like 2 of these guys. And I don't think the comparison, I think we would make the comparison if he was on another team. Maybe not as quickly as we made the comparison, but now seeing what Royce Lewis can do on a baseball field from, again, the exit velocity standpoint, the slug, you mentioned the slug per game, like 19 homers in 72 games on 162 game pace. That's 43 pumps. Like that is crazy. That's 43 pumps with 184 hit pace. That's off the chart stuff. That's Buxton type of stuff. But what you'll notice probably is that we did the same thing with Byron Buxton all the time. We extrapolated his stretches into 162 game stretches because he never gave us a 162 game stretch. Not their fault. It's just the way your body holds up. But I just feel so like nervous when he's back because I'm like, please just stay on the field because it's so fun to watch him do his thing. I don't think he's gotten out yet this year. What is he? 3 for 3?
He has 3 ABs this year with 3 hits and 2 of them are homers.
And 3 walks.
His expected slug is 2.747. It's supposed to be like in 2023 it was 0.481, 481. This year it's 2.747. His expected batting average is 912. I mean, we're looking at 5 plate appearances.
It's just funny. You just don't see those numbers. The thing with me too is like, this is a guy that I'm curious what you think, because I know the Twins are like a team that always breaks our brain on the podcast collectively. If I told you Royce Lewis is healthy for the rest of the year, it's a huge if. But does that alter your perspective on the Twins in terms of their chances to win a playoff series and just make the playoffs, period?
100%, because you know who you're kind of adding, and this is going to be a crazy thing that Peter says, but if we're looking at the talent level, they're not comparable players because they have different games. But I see the amount of talent in Royce Lewis that I would in an Austin Riley in terms of that level of impact.
Production. Yeah.
Production.
100%.
So if you're telling me that current Twins are adding an Austin Riley-esque player, absolutely. Like, we saw them in the playoffs last year. He was dragging that offense, and they were winning. Like, he is as impactful of a bat as you can have. And then when he's also playing defense and you just guaranteed his health, now just saying Royce Lewis is back, are you putting the Twins in the playoff conversation? No, because he has not proven that he can withstand a season. But if you're guaranteeing his health at this level of production, you have to put them in that conversation.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we can't guarantee the health. But I'm glad you brought up the playoffs, too, because that's 4 more home runs in 6 games.
Yeah.
So now you add that in 78 games. That's 23 home runs. What?
I mean,
that's a 50 home run pace. Like that. And people might say, oh, is that sustainable? He hits the living shit out of the ball all the time and elevates. And so it's like, it is sustainable. I think if he's on the field, he's hitting 30 plus pumps pretty easily. I think if he's on the field all year.
You just mentioned the playoffs. He's doing it against the best pitching in high leverage moments. Like, why couldn't he do that in freaking June against a random lefty on the mound? Yeah. Of course he can. He can do everything, and he's done it. It's just he's never on the field.
Yeah.
And
by the way,
first part. Go ahead.
It's his birthday today.
Hey,
happy 25th birthday to Royce Lewis.
25? That's nuts, dude.
He feels so much older than that.
Yeah, he feels like he could be 28, but he's 25.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, please, I hope the body holds up. And by the way, like, I've never met Royce Lewis, but I've talked to several people on the Twins beat. I've read, several different sentiments from people that are either fans or whatever. It's very few players have I seen more collectively beloved as a human being than Royce Lewis. Like, apparently, just one of the more genuine humans. And considering everything that he's dealt with, and also just considering that he was the 1-1 pick out of high school, like usually the high school guys that are the top picks can be a little bit, have an edge to them. None of that. No, bitterness for everything that he's dealt with. And every single time he gets hurt, gives an overly optimistic prognosis on himself. Like he just seems like a ray of sunshine. So like beyond that too, it's like the talent on the field, but then it's like, man, I just want it for Royce Lewis too. So, and I want it for the Twins fans, man. Like, I feel so bad for Twins fans between the fact that, like, your Yankees have just tormented them in the playoffs, but also the fact that, like, they're getting teased with just rare talents and then not getting to see them come to fruition, like a Buxton and now a Lewis. That's not fair. So I hope that, he can fill that void for them a little bit.
100%. So before we get to the top 10 teams right now, a quick break. The top 10 teams in Major League Baseball right now, you can find our full updated power rankings on justbaseball.com. With a new month, brings a new time to rank some of these teams. And I think we already made one mistake. So we're not going to go through from 30 all the way to 1 in this episode. If you want to read the article, like I said, if you want to follow along while you're listening, make sure to check out justbaseball.com. It's all written there. Also, we posted all the graphics on social media, so you've seen them all. It's just a chance for Aram and I to argue if there's an argument to be had and just heap praise on some of the best teams in Major League Baseball right now. And I think we already made a mistake. The Mariners come in at 10 and the Padres come in at 9. Now, the Padres were objectively better than the Mariners were in the month of May. And when we did this, right, a few days ago, they were neck and neck. And as a collective, we gave the Padres a slight bump because of their performance in May. But I also just watched them play against the Angels, and I want to take this team out of the top, 25. And maybe that's recency bias, but no. They've been objectively terrible against the Angels. And I'm watching this Mariners team, just get this team a couple of bats because this starting rotation is overwhelming. With Gilbert taking that next step up, Castillo and Kirby already being the man, and with Brian Wu just being unhittable, and then Bryce Miller's unhittable, you have 5 1s or 2s in rotations. And the bullpen is solid too. They just have to get a couple of bats. But would you say the Mariners are better than the Padres? Kind of messed that up, I think. or you disagree?
Um, I could go either way. I'm a pro Mariners guy, and I mean they're 8 games over. But the Padres have been swinging it really well over the last like month or so. Been one of the better offenses, surprisingly, in baseball by WRC plus. I think 110. By the way, the Yankees since May 1st. This is absurd. The Yankees since May 1st have a 131 WRC plus. The next highest is Baltimore Orioles at 114. But then you have the Cardinals at 111 and the Padres at 110. Seattle, just my concern, and the offense has been better. They've been league average. They've been right at 100 at 15th. Since then, with what they're doing on the mound too, I could kind of see the lean towards the Mariners. But the difference is, I think the Padres are starting to throw a little bit better. They went out and got Luis Arias. Arias is starting to swing it really well, and Machado's starting to come alive a little bit. I could see the argument both ways, but I would probably lean a little bit towards the Mariners, especially with Luke Raley coming alive and stuff like that. But editorial feels is pro Padres, which I'm cool with too. I think you can't go totally wrong either way.
I am totally cool with it. I just wanted to point that out too. It's funny enough, they have the exact same run differential as we sit here today at +8. Mariners and the Padres do. And I find it interesting too that the Mariners are 10-13 against teams under 500, and the Padres are 13-11. It's the classic Padres. Like, they'll lose to the Rockies and then go beat the Dodgers.
Yeah,
Like, they just play down to their competition. They play up to their competition. And the Mariners, if they hit that day, they're probably going to win. And that's why I just think right now I would take the Mariners over the Padres. But we move to number 8 with the Atlanta Braves. Aram, do you know the Braves have scored 2 more runs than the Mets have this year?
Also, since May 1st, the Marlins have a higher WRC plus than the Braves by 1.
It's crazy what this offense looks like these days. Nobody hits. It's just Marcell Ozuna, and then your occasional Matt Olson home runs. Albies has not been good. Of course, Acuna going down on the shelf sucks. Riley just has been so underwhelming.
I think he's hurt. I think he's been banged up. Something's off.
Something's off with him, right? We still obviously love him as the player. It's just we're evaluating what's happening right now. And Riley, Albies have objectively not been good. Sean Murphy's been hurt, and then he's been in the lineup has not been very good. Kelnick has not taken that next step, and Michael Harris, he's hitting under 260.
Been really disappointing.
Really disappointing. So you're waiting for the Marcell Ozuna home run or the Matt Olson home run to get this offense going. And then they have those games where they score 9 or 10 or 11 runs. And you think to yourself, all right, here we go, Braves. Here we go. And then they score 1 or 2 runs the next game. And you're just waiting for this run. And I even posted on Twitter, I'm waiting to invest in the Braves World Series until they kind of get out of this funk, or at least I see something I like. I haven't invested yet because I don't like anything I see.
Yeah. The one thing I like that I've seen is they're throwing the ball pretty well still.
Yeah, their pitching has been
that's the only reason why they're not like dead. Like not dead, but there's the only reason why they're not on a massive skid.
They are 34-24. Like this is the 8th ranked team. It's just when we usually talk about the Braves, it's like, oh, are they 2 or are they 1?
And I think a big reason why they're not a 500 team right now is that pitching. And I'm kind of sorting everything since May 1st. They're 5th in ERA in baseball. And surprisingly, though, the Padres 7th and the Mariners 14th in that span, which is kind of crazy. So Padres kind of making up a little bit of ground. Editorial giving us a little like punch back there as I just went over on Fangraphs to the pitching side and saw that. But I mean, the Braves pitching has been keeping them afloat. And that's great. And, Chris Sale, obviously, by the way, Red Sox fans not giving Chris Sale an ovation. They might've even booed him. What the fuck is that?
No.
Like you won your World Series. I understand it wasn't all pretty, but like you won your World Series. Like that was insane and weird. Like Rhys Hoskins didn't win anything in Philly, like in terms of a ring, and he got like a 20-minute standing O. But anyway, back on point. I mean, the bats have to be better, right? Like Mike Harris is chasing as much as anybody in baseball. I don't know if that's going to change too much, but he's going to hit better. Riley's going to hit better. Like Murphy's just, I think, also hurt. He's going to hit better. We say that, and then maybe it doesn't happen, but I feel like a couple of those guys have to. So I'll venture to say I think this is the lowest we'd rank the Braves in any power ranking. And I think it's about the right spot, given the way the offense is sputtering right now. But I think with the pitching looking the way it is and looking pretty solid, and they'll probably add one way or another, and they have Waldrop waiting in the wings. I just never thought we'd be saying, oh, the pitching's good. Like let's see what's up with the bats. And that's where we're at right now with the Braves.
And the 7th ranked team has been objectively better than the Braves. Milwaukee Brewers are freaking awesome. The Milwaukee Brewers are 6 games up in their division. They're 36-25. They have a plus 60 run differential. They don't give up any runs. The lowest amount of runs allowed in their division. The highest amount of runs scored by far. The Milwaukee Brewers have scored 306 runs this year. That's second in the National League, only trailing the Phillies. That's right. More than the Los Angeles Dodgers, more than the Atlanta Braves, more than anybody in the AL West, more than anybody in the AL Central, including the Guardians and the Royals, more than the Yankees and the Orioles. 306. This offense has been fantastic. Yelich. We have a new article on justbaseball.com. I highly advise checking it out. Basically on how did Yelich get to be back this good. William Contreras. You just go through the guys on this team. They have a good bullpen. They're going to get Devin Williams back.
That's the craziest part. That like hit me the other day and I was like, wait, holy shit, they're going to get Devin Williams.
They're arguably the best closer in baseball back on their team. That's why I wanted them to trade for Garrett Crochet. Like, it's right here. You have it. This offense. Remember, that's why I bet on the Brewers to win the Central at plus 800 at the beginning of the year. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it was a long shot based on, can all these young hitters find their footing in this lineup this year? If they don't, yeah, this bet's not going to hit. If they do, they can win the division. That's exactly what's happening. Now, I knew the range of outcomes going into that. It was more likely that it didn't, but it did. So now if you're the Brewers, don't you want to buy? That's my main point about them. But otherwise, we're talking about a buying. They deserve to be the 7th best team in baseball, and they have an argument for even higher.
I agree. I mean, they're just playing unreal. And the fact that they're surviving with this rotation, not only surviving, same span since May 1, they're 6th in ERA, pitching staff ERA. Like, that's wild. They're going to get DL Hall back at some point. Gasser, we'll have to wait and see, but you mentioned Devin Williams. Like, they're only going to get stronger pitching wise. And I think what they're going to end up doing is they're going to trade for Eric Fetty, and that's going to be their big move. But, you know, they're going to get pitching help. Joe Ross will come back. They just need bodies because that bullpen's just unreal. And again, like you said, they're missing their best piece in the bullpen.
And then at number 6, Kansas City Royals. Man, Royals fans just got to be ecstatic with this team. They're 36-26, better run differential than the Brewers at plus 71. The pitching has just been unreal. 231 runs allowed. That's amongst the best in Major League Baseball. And they're one of only a few teams. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. They're one of 6 teams who have scored over 300 runs this season. You have this great rotation. You have this offense that now I think it's very top heavy with Michael Garcia, with Bobby Witt Jr., with Vinny Pasquantino and Salvador Perez. But when all those 4 are hitting like that, it's totally okay to be top heavy.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to add, this is exciting. And Bobby Witt Jr. is an MVP candidate. This is fun.
I mean, they're such an easy team to jump on board with and root for. And I think they have some of the easiest ways to upgrade, right? Like you just go get an outfielder, and it doesn't even have to be the best. Like, it just to be a guy better than what you've been wheeling out there for the most part. The way they're pitching, but also the way that they're hitting, they're just look like a balanced team. And if the bullpen can continue to get outs the way that they have and hold up their end of the bargain, I mean, it's just, I don't think anybody expected this team to be this well-rounded, but I think, like you mentioned, that the top of that lineup is just setting the tone, and hopefully they get some help soon.
I don't mean to rain on the parade, but I do think that this is important. A lot of the best teams in baseball that we've been talking about are over 500 against teams that are over 500. The Royals are one of the lone teams that have really stunk against the best teams in baseball. They also have been bad on the road. They're 14-16 on the road, and they're 12-17 against teams over 500. So this Royals team still needs to prove it to me before, right, I would invest as a gambler or anything like that. But objectively, up to this point, when we look at the totality of what they've done so far, they deserve to be well within the top 10. But they end at number 5, and that's the Baltimore Orioles. They had a 17-9 record in the month of May. They're 39-20. They're 2.5 back of the Yankees, plus 88 run differential. If we're talking about how have they done against teams over 500, here's the difference. They're 13-6. They're 18-8 on the road. They're 21-12. Doesn't matter where they're playing, when they're playing, who they're playing. The Orioles are going to give you a very, very tough game. I think a perfect example of it is you have the Toronto Blue Jays and the Baltimore Orioles. You got Grayson Rodriguez, who's the number 2 on the Orioles, versus Kevin Gausman and the number 1 on the Blue Jays. Orioles win 10-1. Like, that's just where the Orioles are at. They bum rush teams, and they call up some guy you've never heard of, unless you're a prospect guru, every single day, and he immediately hits the ground running. This is a well-oiled machine.
46 home runs. And I mean, like, what's crazy to me is like 46 home runs since the start of May. And, I think the only team that's outpacing that is the Bronx Bombers at 53. And we mentioned earlier, like the second highest WRC plus in the league. And then they can pitch. Like, this is just a really, really good team. And the fact that they're doing that, with the way that the ballpark is set up too, especially for the pull side to righties, like they rake, they're deep, they can mix and match, they can pitch. I don't think they're going to slow down. And this is kind of a team that I think also, I don't really see them getting any lower than this on our power rankings.
Next up is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah, they're pretty damn good. They were great in May. Not as great as they were in April. They put up a 128 WRC plus in April, only 109 in May. But they did post a 2.93 ERA in May. So, I mean, this team, if they're not hitting that well, they're probably getting really good pitching. The pitchers look, they're probably raking. That's what the Dodgers do. Now, 38-24, I mean, it's obviously great, but this is the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't have much to add.
Yeah, they're pitching. They're pitching like crazy, and you know that they're going to hit when they need to hit, like you said. And Walker being back in the fold and throwing well, like their young guys. Gavin Stone has been unreal. Like their young guys are throwing too. They're not even playing to the best of their ability right now, and they're hovering right here in the top 3-4 teams of baseball. So yeah, there's not much else to add there. I think they're only going to get stronger too.
I'm glad we gave the Guardians some credit and put them at 3. This is one of 3 teams in Major League Baseball with 40 wins up to this point. And it shows in the run differential, plus 81. And you're saying, well, have the Guardians played anyone, Peter? They're in they're in the American League Central. Yeah, they're 12-6 against teams over 500. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. We talked about those, only a handful of teams that have scored 300. They have scored 306. Only a few teams have allowed less than 225 runs. They're in that bucket. The bullpen is the best in baseball, or at least in the top 2 or 3. They might have the best overall reliever in baseball in Emmanuel Clase. Dude, I think has allowed like 1 or 2 runs this entire season. The offense. Andres Gimenez is back. Shocker. Duh. He had 1 bad year. He's back. Jose Ramirez is leading the league in RBIs. Josh Naylor is a freaking tank. And Stephen Kwan is the perfect table setter. But they're also getting contributions from guys like Will Brennan, right? Brian Roquillo has been a decent fill-in at shortstop. And you just go around the diamond and you look at how good Tanner Bybee has been too. Tristan McKenzie, we had the little bit of worry about his elbow, but there's been a couple of tough spurts there, but overall he's been good. Ben Lively, for whatever reason, is a stud. This Guardians team, they're doing Guardian shit again, and it's working.
And it's with Bo Naylor really doing nothing offensively. Yep. And how about David Fry? I mean, David Fry is a superstar. David Fry smashing 342, 479, 613. I mean, that's unreal. And I hope he gets in the All-Star game, even though he hasn't played nearly as much as some of the other guys. But I mean, what this team is doing is crazy. And I think Fry honestly has been a big part of like elongating this lineup. And then you mentioned just some of the other guys filling their roles decently well. But I do think the fact that they're doing this without really a everyday shortstop and catcher, or at least guys just that aren't playing at the level of an everyday player, is pretty absurd. So, I mean, I know some people are kind of waiting for the shoe to drop with this Guardians team, but I think that they just kind of have something special here and they're kind of rolling. And I think Stephen Vogt's doing a fantastic job.
And at 2-1, we could basically group these two together and just argue about who we think is better. The Phillies and the Yankees. But the Phillies come in at number 1, Yankees come in at number 2. So if we're doing a side-by-side comparison, the Yankees are 43-19 and the Phillies are 43-19. So we can't really grab anything there. The Phillies have scored more runs than the Yankees have, but the Yankees have allowed fewer runs. If we're looking at how these two teams have done against teams over 500, Yankees have beat the piss out of them. They're 16-8, but the Phillies are only 6-2, which I find interesting.
That's so weird.
The Phillies have had an easier schedule thus far, but I don't really give a shit about that. Like, go face the Phillies if you're a great team. Like, you're probably going to lose. You're going to get
Yeah.
Wheeler, you're going to get Nola, you're going to get Ranger, you're going to get freaking Christopher Sanchez, you're going to get Turnbull, you're going to get a great bullpen, and you're going to get an offense that's just absolutely overwhelming. But the Yankees, I personally think, are the best team in baseball right now, especially when you consider them getting back Garrett Cole. Now, that's not a part of these power rankings, but I think that the Yankees, in terms of runs scored, they didn't get a ton from Aaron Judge at the beginning of this season. Now you bring back Aaron Judge, and a lot of those runs have come in May, and the Yankees' rotation has been better than the Phillies have so far this season. And if we're talking about bullpens, the Yankees' bullpen has also been better. I would give the slight edge to the Yankees. And yeah, I might be a Yankee fan.
So to just show how tight these teams are, since May 1st, ERA wise, Phillies 2.49 ERA, Yankees 2.50.
Damn.
That's insane. By the way, Garrett Cole, he was 95 on the mound in his rehab start, got it up to like 97, and I think threw like 75% strikes. So that was great to see. Just to see him. I know he's usually a little bit higher than that, but just to be right back and sit in 95, even if he was a tick down in at the big league level, he would still dominate at 95 and be great. So it was good to see him right back in the mid 90s. But I'm with you. I might lean a little bit to the Yankees just because of I think what you're seeing from them offensively. Like when I watch this team right now, it's similar to the Dodgers where it's like you get to the meat of that order and it's like, what do you do? Like you just kind of hope there's nobody on base when you have to face one of Judge or Soto, but usually there is somebody on base because one of those guys almost always gets on. And then the fact that now you can't just walk those guys or pitch around one of those two and feel safe because Stanton is actually doing damage and he did it yesterday. I do think it's razor thin, but I would give a slight edge to the Yankees too. But I do think like when you look at what the Phillies are doing, and I think just the way that they are overwhelming a lot of teams too, I could see why you go that way. Also, I do think it's 1A 1B with those two teams, and I mean I would love to see them play in a series soon because I think it would be a lot of fun even in a regular season matchup.
Yeah, I think you could argue that these two teams are exactly the same. Let's say you do that. I think you would just give the slight edge to the Yankees because of that schedule. The Yankees have objectively played a harder schedule. They're 16-8 versus teams over 500 versus the Phillies at 6-2. Right? They've only played 8 games against teams that are over 500. I'm not saying that's the Phillies' fault. I'm just saying if we're doing power rankings right now, the Yankees have, if they are so razor thin, the slightly better resume because they're doing it against slightly tougher competition. That's all I'm saying.
I think
not
that's
trying
fair.
to take away from the Phillies. Phillies are the best team in the National League. They're freaking awesome. They are number 1 on these power rankings. But if you want my real opinion, and I am taking bias out of it, the numbers are right here. I think the Yankees are slightly better. So that was our top 10 teams. If you want to check it all out on justbaseball.com, article is live and you can find it in the episode description as well. And if you're interested, Just Baseball merch, go get yours in the episode description. And if you don't want to spend a dime, we totally understand. But if you could rate and review 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, that is the best way to support this show. For all those watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And if you could leave a written review, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, that would be great as well. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow. For Aram Layton, I'm Peter Apple. With that, thank you, everybody.